I'm creating this video to give you some examples of some word problems that you are required to know how to do for the midterm and the final, but are not in your book. Now there are some notes, some additional notes with examples in lesson 8 that you should look at, and I have posted a forum on Blackboard in the discussion board section where you can ask questions and I'll work through additional problems. We are going to do 3 different types of problems. The first one is a problem about investment. I'm going to bring up the problem here and read it. It says Blake has a total of $4,000 to invest in 2 accounts. One account earns 2% simple interest and the other earns 5% simple interest. How much should be invested in each account to earn exactly $155 at the end of 1 year? Now this is called a diversified investment problem, and you do need to use a system of equations in order to work this out. The first thing that we are going to do is to identify our variables. In systems word problems, you are always going to have 2 variables. You're going to have an x variable and you will have a y variable. Now in this case you're trying to find what is invested at the 2% and what's invested at 5%. So your x variable will be the amount invested at 2%. And then your y variable will be the amount invested at 5%. Now since you have 2 variables, you are also going to have 2 equations. The first equation is about how much is totally invested. And that is your x plus your y equals the $4,000 that Blake invested. The second equation will involve the interest amount. In order to find out how much interest was earned in, say, the 2% account, we are going to say 2% of x, because 2% of the amount invested will give us the amount of interest that's earned in that first account. We will do the same for the y. We will take 5% of the y, that's the amount we don't know, but when we add both of these interest amounts together, we will get $155. And all of this was given in the problem. Now we have a system of equations, and it shouldn't be too difficult to go ahead and solve these. This is something you should already know how to do. But you can either solve them doing addition method or the substitution method, but I am going to do it the addition method. So first I'm going to multiply this entire equation by 100 in order to get rid of the decimals. And so I'm going to get 2x plus 5y equals 15,500. Now in order to cancel something using the addition method, I'm going to go ahead and multiply this top equation by -2. And I will distribute that -2 throughout that equation and get -2x minus 2y equals a -8,000. And then I am going to add these 2 equations. The x's are going to cancel. I'm going to add 2y, -2y and 5y and get 3y. I'll add -8,000 and 15,500 and get 7,500. And then to solve for y, I will divide by 3. And so I get y equals 2,500. Now what does it mean for y to equal 2,500? Well, we go back to what our y stands for, which is the amount invested at 5%. So that means that this is the amount invested at 5%. So it's a dollar amount invested at 5%. So that would be interpreting your answer, okay? Now we still haven't found how much is invested at the 2%, so I'm going to go back and use this first equation, substitute what I found for y, so I'll have x plus 2,500 equals 4,000, and subtract 2,500 from both sides and get that x is 1,500. Now x stood for the amount invested at 2%, and so there's my other answer. Now if I want to check this problem, I'm going to check how much was earned in interest in each of the accounts and see if it adds up to the $155 that is to be earned. So I'm going to say 2% of 1,500, and that equals 30. So $30 was earned at 2%. The 5% account was $2,500 invested. Multiply that and get $125 earned. If I add that, I get the $155 of interest earned, so this problem checks out. Okay, we're going to go now to the next problem, which is a mixture problem. And here it is. Suppose that whole milk with 4% fat is mixed with 1% low-fat milk to make a 2% reduced fat milk. How much of the whole milk should be mixed with the low-fat milk to make 60 gallons of the 2% reduced fat milk?